I, as you know, am your host, Mr. Dane Puzzles Esquire. We are now embarking on an odyssey of discussion about an actor who keeps the world asking, Nicolas Cage, good or bad? You may have preconceived ideas on this matter, but I promise you, the question has no answer. Our goal this month is to watch 2 Nicolas Cage films. No marathons here. We're spacing out our viewings. You're welcome to join us, but please, be careful. There's this bar that I pick up at a lot. Never really pay that much attention to it. People are super friendly. Go in, get my shit, get out. And it's always packed.
Yep.
The place is just always super busy with people.
This is just like a normal bar, or?
Yeah, it's like a couple of arcade machines on one side. They've got a photo booth next to the jukebox.
What?
So I go in there the other day.
All right.
And they got microphone stands all over the place. Sometimes they have live performances, but I've never actually been in there while they're doing it. Go over there, they ain't got the order ready, so I'm propped up against the side of the photo booth, facing the bar. And I hear, the music kick up, and I hear some voice. I'm not really paying that much attention. I'm dicking around on my phone. And someone's singing, doing music. People are hooping and hollering. Everyone's apparently enjoying the show, but I ain't paying no mind. They come out. They finally say, hey, order for so-and-so. I'm like, yep, right here. Grab the food. And I turn around and step around the photo booth.
All right.
And I'm kind of caught a little bit off guard. Because there's like 3 drag queens all singing and dancing cabaret style on the other end of this bar. And I suddenly assess my surroundings. And I'm like, is this one of those kinds of bars? And I look around and I don't see a mixed gender couple in the house. And I'm standing in here wearing leather. And I'm like, is this why they're always really friendly to me in here? So I excuse myself from the bar. I head down the street. It gets better. It gets so much better.
All right.
I head on down the road, and the drop-offs is a weird address. I don't recognize it. And I pull into this little strip mall thing. And it's got the number, and it's got a letter, and I'm looking around, and none of the units in the strip mall actually have the letters. It's all on the mailbox off to the side, so I'm having to kind of play guesswork. So I'm like, okay, that one's D, that's not it. Maybe it's this one. I'm thinking it's the smoke shop. Head over there, nope, its mailbox is C. I'm trying to drop off to B.
Okay.
I can't find the fucking B. So just process as elimination. I'm like, okay, what's got to be this next door? It looks like a clothing shop. So I step on in, and as I enter the door, I see the lady standing behind the counter. I'm like, hey, did you order from... And I look around. I'm like, is that a shelf full of rubber dicks? That's a shelf full of rubber dicks. Is that a... Yep, this is a sex shop. I have walked from a gay bar into a sex shop, and I've been caught unawares twice in one day. And I look at the lady behind the counter. I'm like, please tell me, yeah, I'm Melinda. I'm like, thank God, because this was going to get the most awkward thing of my day, and I didn't think that this could be surpassed from earlier. I gave her the food, I drop it off, and yeah, it was just, back to back, not what you're expecting, man.
But hey, that's what makes those days kind of very interesting. Keeps you on your toes, especially when you said you're wearing leather.
Well, just the jacket.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I know you love wearing leather pants.
And the chaps, but
exactly.
Look.
Were they assless?
All chaps are assless. By the way, welcome to Dane and Jeff's Media Dump. I'm your host, the very confused host, Mr. Dane Puzzles Esquire, Mr. Puzzles for short, Dane for shorter. And with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Grumpy Syllables, Jeff. Jeff, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, buddy. How you been doing?
Dazed and confused.
Hey, that's what It's those kinds of days like, you know what? I'm actually glad I got up out of bed and went to work.
You still have those?
No, of course not. I mean, okay, the last Friday I was excited because that was my company's Christmas party. And have you ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse?
No, but I've heard you talk about them before.
Well, that's where we went to again. This is probably like the seventh time we've gone to this restaurant since I've been hired there. The place is just amazing. It's a carnivore's fantasy.
Dude, I've been looking ever since that first time you told me about one, and I haven't found any within, like, reasonable driving distance of me yet.
Well, then
I haven't give up.
You need to get a flight over to Chicago, and I'm gonna take you to this restaurant.
Oh, like, I'm going to talk anyone in my family to get on a fucking airplane with me. My daughter's 7, and she's already decided she will never get on a plane.
Hey, I never said anything about bringing the family. I just said you.
Oh, like I want to get to go to the Brazilian steakhouse without taking the wife with me. She's even bigger on steak than I am.
Well, then this definitely is the place for her because they have all the meats.
Step the fuck back, Wendy's.
Wait, I thought Arby's was the one we have the meats.
Oh, I've been drinking.
What else is new?
My eye tried to fall out.
Man, you were telling me about this. That's why we're a day late on recording. It's just like, my God, man, just take care of yourself. Who cares about recording? I mean, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling better. I thought, so I'll bring the listeners up to speed. So I got up day before yesterday. I was a little bit sore because the kid had poked me in it in the middle of the night. Because it doesn't matter if we put her to bed in her room or if we take her to bed with us. When we wake up, she's going to be in bed. She wakes up in the middle of the night, climbs in bed with us. And she had jabbed me in the eye in the middle of the night and woke me up. Got up the next morning, it was a little bit sore. And I'm like, you know what, I got, the Three Stooges special. So, it happens. And I just kind of got a little bit more sore throughout the day. But never, like, super bad. It's more like a little bit itchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Burned a little bit, kind of like a dry eye. So, yesterday morning, I get up and my eye is swollen. I look like Rocky after a couple of rounds with Mr. T.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? The swelling goes down a little bit throughout the day. Still kind of sore. I messaged you that night. I'm like, hey, this is actually not before. Day before. Hey, just getting, eye sore. My head's killing me. Because the whole side of my head was hurting from it.
Sure.
Giving you a heads up just in case. Next day, swelling wasn't as bad when I got up.
Mm-hmm.
But over the course of the day, it started getting bad again like it was that first day. And I'm like, what the hell? Am I setting up an infection in my eye or something? We called off recording last night. Postponed it to today. Get up this morning, and eye swollen again. Check my phone, and I had missed like 4 messages from my mom saying, something's wrong with my cat. I need your help. Please tell me you're up. So I give her a call. I'm like, hey, what's going on? She thinks her cat's dying. She's like 14 years old.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, give me 10 minutes to put on some pants. I'll be there in a minute. So I go up there, go in the house. My mom takes one look at me, sees my swollen eye. This is this morning. And she's like, did she punch you in the face? like, great, now my mom's going to be giving me like halfway house phone numbers because she thinks my wife's beating me. I said, no, I think it's just where the girl jabbed me in the eye the other night. She's like, you look like you've been punched. And yeah, it was still really swollen this morning, but not as bad as it had been. But took her, we sat at the veterinary hospital for like 4 hours.
Ugh.
Because they had 2 vets on staff. One was in surgery most of the morning. So they had one person going through everybody, and like apparently half the county's dogs got sick this morning, so they were way backed up. Cat's fine. They think she might have hyperthyroidism.
Okay.
Which I didn't know that was something that cats could get, but neither here nor there. Get home, pack up the kid and the wife, and I take them over to Stone Mountain to have a little bit of a day out since I've been gone all morning over this cat. And when we get there, my eye itches a little bit, and I'm like, crap, if I keep scratching this, it's never going to go down. But I couldn't resist, and I rubbed it. And some little like rock feeling thing came out of my eye, and it was like an instant pressure relief. So I think the jabbing in the eye was a coincidence, but I've had something in my eye for days now, and it's just been making the swelling get worse and worse. So if you look at me now, it's a little bit puffy still, but I'm feeling a hell of a lot better. I think that was what was causing my problem.
It's possible something could have been sitting in your eye, and then your daughter came in and, poked you, that actually shoved it into your head. And that's probably what you've been feeling the past couple days.
That's entirely possible. But that never actually crossed my mind, because whenever I was working in steel, I actually got a metal shaving stuck into my eyeball. And you could see it, like, if you looked at my eye, it was right there on the edge of between the color and the white.
Yeah.
There was this little silver spot where it stuck into my actual eyeball. So I come up, and that was a different feeling than what I was having, because I could actually feel that scratching the inside of my eyelid.
Listeners, I'm cringing right now.
I'm leading into this. So I get a chunk of metal in my eye, and our welder, his name was Vern. He's like, yeah, should have been wearing your damn safety goggles, huh? I said, asshole, I was wearing it. It bounced off my eyebrow into the lens and then popped that into my eye. The safety goggles are what got me fucked up. So I clocked out. I'm like, guys, I got to go home and try and figure out something. I lived like 5 minutes away from home, or worked 5 minutes away from home at times. So I drive to the house, walk in. My wife's like, wait, it's not lunch. What are you doing home? I said, I got something in my eye. We found I had a stack of these really, really powerful magnets.
Oh.
So I told her, I said, all right, you have a steadier hand and you can see. So I'm going to hold my eyelid open, and I'm going to try not to flinch as I stare at those magnets. I want you to just drag those magnets, like tap my eye and pull it off. Can you see the spot? But the magnet was strong enough that it yanked that out of my eye. But man,
I'm trying to process a lot of things. For one thing, does the eye bleed? Because I know.
Yes.
Okay, so
it did not go deep enough or hit a vessel, so I wasn't like crying blood or anything. But you could see like there was a spider web of bloodshot right around that spot on my eye. The whole eye was irritated, but that one spot was really, really bad.
God, man, that sounds. Was it painful or just very irritating?
This time around, my eye hurt worse.
Mm-hmm.
But, whatever was in there for days.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually stuck in my eyeball, because with the piece of metal, like if I close my eye,
you could feel it.
You know how your eyes still move, whether you want them to or not?
Yeah.
I could feel that scraping around on the inside of my eyelid. But it wasn't cutting it, but it was scratching it.
Yeah.
Now, compare that to the other dude that I worked with. His name was Patrick. He got one stuck in there, and the magnets were not strong enough, because I tried to pull it out of there for him. He had to go, and they essentially they take a little bitty scalpel, and they ice cream scoop a chunk of your eye off to get that out, and then wish you the best and send you on your way. I love watching you cringe on this.
I think we're going to need to put some sort of warning in front of this episode. Like, hey, cringe. I'm sorry. Anything to do with the eye, I flinch.
If this was an episode of Yams Pod, I think it would be like the boys get stuff in their eye at the gay bar.
But good. I'm glad your eye is getting better.
So what else is going on with you? I heard you're an old fuck now.
Yeah, last week, the 11th to be exact, was my birthday, so we are now the same age for only a few more weeks before it's your birthday again.
Yeah, 37 for about a month and a half.
But I'm just trying to think of anything else that's been going on. Just work like normal. Obviously like I said, we went to the company Christmas party where I had a delicious lunch. Apart from that, man, just been watching the movie that we are going to be talking about today. And actually, okay, here's the funny bit, because this is actually probably a good segue into the episode. So everyone, we're watching Lord of War because of Nic Cage Month.
Woo!
But okay, so here's the funny thing. So I rented it on Prime. No, it was included on Prime. And I was like, sweet. And I sent you a message like, hey, it's on Prime right now. So I ended up watching it. Like, hell yes. I I turn it off, and all of a sudden, it's just like I start flipping through my Samsung Pluto TV channels, and one channel at that current moment was playing Bangkok Dangerous, which is another Nic Cage movie. And I'm like, well, that's a coincidence. What's on after that? Lord of War. And then I'm like, okay, hold on. What was on after Lord of War? And I believe it was... No, I'm sorry. The whole order was wrong. The movie that was on at the time was... What's that new recent Nic Cage movie starring Nic Cage as Nic Cage? The Wonderful Life of a...
The Burden of Unbelievable Talent or something like that.
Yeah, that was the movie that was playing at the moment. Then it was Bangkok Dangerous. Then it was Lord of War. I'm just like, oh my god, I sent you a message. Hey, Pluto TV's having a little Nic Cage day right now.
Yeah, we're starting to get our own version of the TSMP Touch.
I don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, obviously, if it's for games, that's a wonderful thing. But it's just like, what the hell? I watch one movie and it comes on like 3 hours later.
That is a wild happen to line up, especially because, I don't know about you, I ain't had cable in a decade. So channel surfing and happen to stumble across something. I do remember times like going to the movie rental place, getting the movie, and then we watch the movie, turn on the TV, go channel surfing, and fuck, you land on the thing you just paid money for.
Exactly.
Always pissed me off.
I will say that it's better to watch it because Pluto TV tends to censor their shows and movies. But it's actually kind of funny because the week before I watched Forrest Gump, and it's like, there's some things that they're not censoring. Like I saw Tom Hanks's pubes. And it's just like, what the hell? Why didn't Pluto TV censor this? And then it just keeps going on and on. It's like, oh, this might be the only movie channel that they don't touch. You gave me a look. Have you not noticed that you see Tom Hanks's pubes in Forrest Gump?
I never noticed that. I didn't know that there was Hank pubes in that movie.
It's quick, but it's in the shower scene when Hanks is in college, and he's adjusting his towel, and he moves it just a little too much, where you see the top of his bush. And it's like, I mean, I've heard people talking about this all the time, and now I've actually seen it. It's like, I'll be damned. Tom Hanks, you need to do some shaving.
You gave me a movie fact I was not familiar with.
Well, there you go. Now you know what to look for.
But if there's anything that we learn from Don't Mess with the Zohan, the big bush, the women love it. Cushion for the pushing.
Not the bush, inside the bush.
So I guess we can go... before we dive into our mandatory internet article blurb, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way, tell everybody at the top of the show, get the disappointment out early. So since we're recording a day late, and we're both kind of feeling shitty, and Jeff's got an early morning, we're going to be skipping the quiz this week. I made an executive decision. The quiz that I had planned ended up being too time consuming for the joke. And since the Drunken Review is our next episode, we're going to be delivering bukus of laughs, and we're shooting for like an 8-hour podcast. So I will give a teaser on the game that I'm planning for that at the end of this episode, but it's going to be a good one. So,
oh yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. We do have some guests lined up. They're going to be joining us on the fun. We still have a couple, as far as I know, we still have a couple openings, so if you want to join us and partake, let us know.
Yep, there's 2 that I know of that are planning, so we'll see how everything else pans out. But mandatory internet article blurb.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Did we make any mistake? Did Dalton catch any of our mistakes?
He did, and he called us out on it. So on Haha, Dalton found an error. We kept calling the dude that played Leonard Smalls in the Raising Arizona episode a wrestler. He was a boxer.
Same thing. And now Dalton's going to kill me for saying that. Hey, Dalton, it's the same thing. I could feel.
I ain't touching this one with a 10-foot pole.
I could feel him getting angry as I speak.
You know, he's got me watching wrestling now. I was watching the Saturday night main event the other night.
Was it on Netflix?
Not yet. It doesn't hit Netflix until, Raw is supposed to be showing up on Netflix, I think, January 6th. Right now, it's on Peacock.
All right.
So I was watching that, and it made me so happy watching Damian Priest doing some of the Undertaker's moves.
I don't know what those moves are, nor do I care to find out. But
There's one, the old school move, where he puts him in a handlock, and then the Undertaker would climb up on the top rope, walk out. So you're seeing this, 6'5" giant just walking this top rope like it's nothing, and then comes down and makes it look super painful. Even though the Undertaker was probably the only one actually getting hurt in the process. Damian Priest did the same maneuver. I'm like, oh shit! And I lost it. I had my first wrestler nerd out moment. If you're not aware, Jeff is grumpy because Jeff does not like wrestling talk.
And tune in next episode of Steam Machine, and you're really going to find another thing that I'm grumpy about.
Shit, what are they doing next episode?
Shoot.
I was there when they announced it and I forgot.
You want me to spoil it, or do you just want to...
Oh, remind me, because I drank a lot that night.
Power Rangers.
I know I hung out with... Power Rangers. Oh, yeah, that's right, because they were posting about beating it, that Rita's something. Anyway,
Rita's
classic.
Rita's Ragged Ass or something like that. I don't know. Some crap.
Raggedy Rita.
There it is. It's some...
Ragtime
I'm
Rita.
sure it's some stupid game that no one likes except nerds.
Hey, I liked the Power Rangers when I was a kid.
I know.
I had a childhood.
I did too. It just didn't involve Power Rangers. I was watching things like Rocco's Modern Life and finding out, Rocco worked for a sex hotline. Good for him.
Sex with girls. That was what was on Jeff's mind in his youth.
Hey, man. I watched Revenge of the Nerds at the age of 5. I think at a very young age, I learned, oh boy, boobs are cool.
We have our stinger.
Hey, I always provide at least one.
Oh. But yeah, that was our error, was we called him a wrestler. I'm sure we fucked something else up, but...
Actually, technically...
we didn't get called out on it.
Wasn't it he's also like a kickboxer as well? Isn't that something else? It was like a boxer / kickboxer.
I can't remember if there was kickboxing involved. I remember boxing, and I want to say maybe sports ball of some sort.
Either way, again, Dalton, same thing.
We're not experts.
Nor do I care to correct myself. I'm
double down.
I'm fueling the hate. Give me the hate. I expect emails.
So, our mandatory internet blurb this week comes from the movie database. So, themoviedb.org. For Lord of War 2005. Yuri Orlov is a globe-trotting arms dealer and, through some of the deadliest war zones, he struggles to stay one step ahead of a relentless Interpol agent. His business rivals and even some of his customers, who include many of the world's most notorious dictators. Finally, he must also face his own conscience.
I don't think he does. But then again, this is something I brought up to you, and you're just like, I had not considered that. Because at the very beginning, he's just like, my name is Yuri Orlov. By the way, my real name is not Yuri Orlov. So he is playing the role as the unreliable narrator.
Well, I went back and I rewatched that intro to see that. And he does expound on it that, his family lied about being Jewish to get immigration to the States.
Yeah.
So I would assume that they were changing their name, and his dad took it super serious and was acting super Jewish all the time, to the point that, his wife is cooking him shellfish. He's like, I can't eat this. She's like, you're not Jewish. He's like, no. Hey, I'm going to temple.
You go to the temple.
You're in the temple more than the rabbi.
Yeah, there it is. Exactly.
So, this was the first time I'd seen this movie.
Uh-huh.
And I know that this was your pick. Why this Nic Cage movie?
Because I wrestle with which Nic Cage movie do I love more? Do I love this or Gone in 60 Seconds? Both of which are my favorite Nic Cage movie.
Watching this, and I've got some things to say about the time it would have come out, because I started looking. I think this was probably like the tail end of Nic Cage as a big name at like top of his stardom before he started doing the shit. I'm in for like $3 million with the IRS, taking every job that he could have and just flooding the market with insane Nic Cage shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also the kind of movie that they don't make anymore. The R-rated adult drama.
No, not really. This is trying to think what other movies are there like this. I mean, I know there's like The Highwaymen, the movie about Bonnie and Clyde, but I don't think that's rated R. It's definitely a drama, but I don't know if it's rated R.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head either. But, like, this is of a dead breed. Because, everything in Hollywood now shoots for that, PG-13 sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is going for the big blockbuster, make it or break it budget. So, like, the decent budgeted R-rated adult drama just doesn't happen anymore. Because movies like this, where they really thrived, was like in rentals.
Yes.
Like the rental market, the DVD market, the movies that people didn't always catch at the box office, but they'd make most of their money back in like DVD sales and rentals.
Well, you're talking box office. This movie did not make it.
No, it made like half of the budget back. Apparently, it resonated better with international audiences. From what I was seeing, I think it ended up grossing, all said, and turning a profit. But I think just box office returns internationally managed to bring it back up out of the red.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you look at this, you can definitely say this is more of an international, because it takes place in Africa and like the Middle East. So you definitely go to different locations. And America, you're probably only in there for maybe a grand total of 30 minutes.
And the thing that I really liked was how much of this shit was not faked. Like, it's sad to say, 20 years later, you see a bunch of tanks on screen,
Mm-hmm.
You're probably seeing something that's been added in post with CG.
Sure. And then, copy and paste.
But no, they actually had all this Russian hardware laid out for these shots. They put a lot of money and effort into this. One of the fun facts I stumbled onto, there's a scene where there's this massive line of tanks that he's showing up to buy from his uncle.
Uncle Dimitri.
Uncle Dimitri. Apparently, the film crew had to get on the phone with the UN because they saw these tanks lined up on satellite imaging and thought that someone was amassing and getting ready to roll out.
Uh-huh.
And they were freaking the fuck out. Like, no, calm down. We're shooting a movie.
I mean, I get it. You look at some of these shots, like you said with the tanks, there's scenes with the helicopters. I mean, you go inside bunkers that are just loaded with guns.
So many guns. Like, oh man, so many guns. So, let's rewind to the first of the movie. So,
okay.
Opening scene. It starts off with Cage breaking the fourth wall.
Addressing the audience.
Standing in the street.
Addressing the audience.
Talking straight to the camera, addressing the audience. This huge sea of shell casings just covering the street. He's standing out in the middle of it. And he's doing this weird monologue about, how many guns and how many people. And there's like one gun for every 12 people. So the big question is, how do we arm the other 11?
Yeah.
And my instant instinct was, oh shit, this movie's going to preach at me about guns are bad. And I was a little bit worried that I wasn't going to like it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not John Turley. I'm not a gun nut. But I do, I live in the Appalachians. I loves my gun. You can pry it from my cold dead fingers. I enjoy shooting. I am a gun guy. I don't walk around packing heat all the time, but, guns do live here.
Sure. For protection. You got a family.
Yeah, and all the neighbors know that guns live here, and guess who they don't mess with?
I still need to get a gun. Boy, that's weird to say. I have a FOID card, and I always like, I've got to, get a handgun or something, for protection. I'm married now. I want to be able to protect her, even though I live in a very safe neighborhood. you can never be too careful, you know. It's been almost 8 years.
All right. So, if you want the practical home defense suggestion with a gun,
Mhm.
I don't know what you might know about guns or anything.
A little bit.
So, everyone gravitates towards a handgun. You will eventually, if you mess with the gun on a regular basis, you're going to eventually have a you fucked up moment. Everybody has one. What you hope is that you get more than one. So, I got a lot of land and I used to like wander around all the damn time. And because we have issues with rabies around here and there's coyotes and shit, you don't wander around out in the woods if you don't have a gun, just in case. And I've got a Colt Diamondback that I carry. It's 38. It's like the biggest of the small calibers. You start getting bigger than that, you're getting into, the heavy calibers for a handgun.
Yeah.
But that's what I would carry on my hip, walk around, and nothing ever came up. But if something did, I needed to have the fucking gun. Well, I had a scare one time. I heard something that I didn't recognize. I didn't hear an animal noise. I just heard something pacing me around this bush. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So, precautionarily, I take the gun out, and I start around the bush, and perfectly matching me 1-to-1. Just as I walk left, it walks right, and back and forth. And now I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay, this isn't the movement of like a dumb animal. This is like a person who's trying to hide, and they're not very good about being quiet. So my paranoia is way up. So I cocked the fucking gun. And, I was raised with gun safety. You don't point it unless you're going to shoot something.
Yeah.
So I don't have it straight out in front of me, but I have it slightly down because I'm at the ready. And then I kicked something that was on the ground one direction and ran around the other way to see what the hell was on the other side of the bush. And it was a fucking bird that was just made me feel like a dumbass. I'm like, some shit's going down. And I'm like, fuck. Okay, I'm fine. So I've got the gun pointed at the ground. I'm like, well, I need to uncock it. So put my thumb on the trigger. The way you uncock it, you hold the hammer, pull the trigger, ease it down. Problem was, I had just got really nervous. My hands are sweaty. So I put the thumb on the hammer, pull the trigger. Hammer slips out of my thumb, and I blow a hole in the ground right beside my foot.
Oh.
So, everyone gets one. My best friend, the Marine, had his. He was checking to make sure that the chamber on his semi-automatic was clear. He pushed back the slide with his hand in front of the barrel, confirmed it was clear, let it go. It chambered around and fired it. And it should have went right through his hand. He still has no idea how, but it shot right under his hand and blew a hole in the ground where it slipped through. Because he pushed it just far enough to pull the hammer back, or the firing pin back, but not enough to actually lock it in place. So he had like the perfect storm of fuck up all at one time and just barely missed his hand. So if you get a handgun, you will eventually fuck up with it. If you want good home defense, get you a shotgun and don't fill it full of buckshot. Get just regular shot. Because when you shoot shotgun, you just have to point in the direction of who you're aiming at or what you're aiming at. And it's not going to penetrate walls, so you don't have to worry about killing the neighbor because a rifle round is going to fly through there or a handgun round is going to fly through there and it's going to keep going. So low effort on aiming. And if you don't get the circumcised one, if you get the pump action, so you got the that instantly puckers the butthole of anyone who might be up to something. So that sound effect is more effective than anything.
And that is Gun Safety Hour with Dane.
I've got every gun is loaded. Always treat it like it's loaded. Stories for days. I know so many dumbasses who have almost killed themselves with guns because they were being stupid.
Well, I've gone to the range, and I've definitely every time it's just like, okay, I would fire a 357, and it's a 6-shot revolver. I know I fired all 6 shots. I'm still treating that thing as if there is still one magic round hidden in there.
That's the smart way to do it. Like, we were trying to teach my buddy's wife how to shoot, and she was shooting my Colt because she had shot, the same gun that almost blew a hole through his hand. She had shot it, and she wasn't fighting the recoil enough, and it was trying to jam up on her. So she's like, I don't like this gun. Can I have another gun? I said, here, try mine. And the Colt's a revolver. I hand her that. I put 3 in there. She watched me put the 3. I was like, here, you got 3 shots. Hand her the gun. She fires the first time, and where it's really heavy, it fights its own recoil.
Mm-hmm.
So she spins around, pointing the gun straight up, straight to her husband, my best friend, pointing at his head. I like his gun so much better. As she swings around and points at his face, he drops to the ground, and I reach up, grab her hand, and point the gun straight up in the air at the same time, and inform her the gun's still loaded. You were just pointing a loaded gun at him. Blood drains out of her face.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. That's why you have to be smart. That's the bottom line. Be smart, always, when you're dealing with a weapon. Loaded or not, be smart.
That's what I'm teaching my kid early on. Like, she doesn't even get to mess with guns. She's 7.
Mm-hmm.
But I remind her, like, what's every gun? Loaded. When's the only time you point at something if you're going to kill it? Like, do you play with guns? No.
Smart.
She knows. Because there's only 2 guns in this house. She can't get to either one of them. But only one of them's loaded. But they're both loaded.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Oh.
Anyway. Lord of War.
Lord of War. So yeah, I thought this movie was going to be really preachy and anti-gun, and I was worried. But then we get to follow this wonderful CG sequence that's mixed with CG and live action that is just the laugh of a bullet.
I think
it really does a good job setting the tone, but
I think you said that it may have gone a little bit too long. I always loved it just because of the... Damn it, what the hell is the name of the song that they chose? Hold on. Okay, so go ahead and say what you're about to say. I'm going to look it up.
So it's a really fun sequence where the camera is essentially locked to the point of view of this bullet. So they make the bullet and it follows it through the assembly line as it gets loaded, capped, dumped into a case, shipped, goes through several hands as it's being moved from place to place to the military, then gets dropped off on a port, gets knocked out, all the bullets get picked up, and the whole time the camera is just locked in step with this bullet. And the ultimate goal of it is at the end when it gets loaded into a magazine and you hear the firing as it's slowly working its way up, only to be loaded in the chamber, so now you're seeing the bullet's point of view through the...
It's like you're looking down the barrel.
Yeah, down the barrel as it goes from place to place to place. And the punchline of this entire sequence is it gets pointed at the head of a child and shot. And it ends its journey right between someone's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So it lets you know really early on, okay, we're dealing with illegal gun trade, child soldiers, talking about people caught in the crossfire, and that's sort of the underlying problem throughout the movie.
The name of this...
Yuri is selling guns to people who have no scruples.
The name of the song during that intro is called For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield.
It was a good sequence. About the middle of it, even though, like, in retrospect, I understand why they did it, and, you know, they were trying to cover all the steps, but it just felt a little bit on the long side for me while I was watching it. Didn't take away from the movie as a whole. It was just one of those, okay, I know this is going to end up getting shot at somebody, can we go ahead and get to it? But I think they were wanting to cover all the different steps and show off the sequence that they worked really, really hard to put together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's very well done. I mean, maybe there are a couple moments or a few that the sequence does go a little bit too long. Like we see the bullet sitting in its crate, and it like jostles like 3 different times. It's like, okay, I don't think you need to show us it jostling, up, down, up, down, up, down.
And like the 3rd time the damn box got spilled, I'm like, come on. People don't spill bullets this damn often. Come on.
But have you ever seen that many bullets?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I got ammo boxes. My favorite shooting rifle for a while was a mini mini 14, shoots 223s, and my uncle, who left me the gun when he died, had just ammo boxes, and I was like, I bet I can make it through those. I've done so much target shooting with that thing, and I've never had to buy a bullet for it.
I've never fired a rifle. The most powerful thing I've fired was the 357, and that thing had some kick.
I have shot a 50 cal twice. It was a muzzle loader, which doesn't hit as hard.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at it and you see just the size of that, and you're like, is this a rifle or a shotgun?
Yeah.
But damn, that's fun.
Oh, I have to imagine. I mean, it's definitely, safety is the number one important thing with dealing with weapons. You can't deny the fact that there is some exciting fun when you squeeze a trigger and you just hear that loud boom. It's just like, oh, again.
I used to like troll people. My uncle got me this 22. It's a Czech rifle. Really long barrel. And the longer the barrel, the quieter it is when you shoot it. And 22. Little ass bullet. And he had got me these like low velocity rounds, CBs. So it's like a half length 22 round.
Okay.
And you put them in this rifle where it's so damn long, it sounds like a BB gun when you're shooting it. It's like, a self-silencing round. It's so damn small. I mean, you just don't want to be shot with it.
No, of course not.
It's not going to feel like a BB gun. But, you can just like, ting, ting. So to troll people, I would had a little 5-round magazine in it. So I'd pop one of those into the chamber and have that preloaded and then fill the little 5-round magazine up with regular 22 long rifle. Like, here, shoot my gun. No, I don't like guns. Come on, look. Real gun, listen. Pink. It's not loud. Here, you try. And then someone who's not used to a gun, a 22, even though it's a small crack, if you think that it's getting ready to go tink, I scared so many people who weren't used to guns.
It's a fun trick.
Because I'm an asshole.
It's a fun trick. But Lord of War.
Yeah. I can do gun talk. Maybe I am a gun nerd. Fun fact, most of the AKs in this film were not actually AKs. They were cheap Chinese knockoffs. You can tell by looking at the sight, which has had a full round sight on it instead of an open sight on it. And the number of rivets.
I have to pay attention. Like, who was holding a Chinese knockoff?
Remember the scene where he just, goes on and on and on about how wonderful the AK is? Never overheats.
It never jams, yeah.
Shoots covered in mud. The very next scene, it shows somebody who's holding what is purportedly an AK, but I was watching a gun builder reacts, and he was going through a couple of the scenes in this movie, pointing out that's not an AK, and they're acting like it's an AK. That's not an AK, they're acting like it's an AK.
Mm-hmm.
Not the warehouse that's full of AKs, and none of them are AKs.
Well, there you go.
And he's like, as many of these guns as exist, I don't understand why the studio had such a hard damn time getting AKs. But most of them are apparently there's a Chinese knockoff one and a Czech knockoff that I can't remember the model number. It's B something. Mm-hmm. I'm actually not a gun nut, so I don't know the models. I just know from that video that most of them in the movie were not actually AK-47s.
I have to imagine it's just because it was probably easier and cheaper to get the knockoff than the real thing itself.
But yeah, so this is basically Scarface with guns.
While at the same time trying to kind of be a documentary, but also a drama. So I guess it's a docudrama.
Do you know anything about the dude that this movie was really based on?
No. I'm on Wikipedia right now, and it's based on an arms dealer named, was it Victor Bott?
I think it's Victor Boot. That was I watched a 2-hour documentary on him the other day after watching this movie. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we actually got that guy. We did catch him. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years ago, we traded him back to the Russians for the release of that basketball player.
That's who this was.
Yep.
Wow,
And the Russians immediately gave him a position in government office.
Wow, that's a dumb deal.
Guess why they wanted him back? War in the Ukraine, man.
Yeah. Not a political podcast.
No, not a political podcast at all. But that was why Russia was after him. They wanted him back. His connections.
So when did this? When did we release him?
I think it was 2022
Oh Jesus!
was when we sent him back. That came up during the documentary I was watching because it was a fairly recent documentary within the last year.
Yeah, December 8th, 2022.
But pretty much,
Wow.
Everything that you see in this movie, this dude pretty much did the same shit. The only difference was instead of being a Ukrainian immigrant to the U.S. like Yuri is, he was always he was a former Soviet patriot.
Yeah.
He went into the military as a linguist, and when he got out, he used all of his connections. And when the Soviet Union broke up, just like in Lord of War, he starts running guns from all these Soviet warehouses.
Mm-hmm. Man, oh man.
But I don't remember exactly when we caught him, but I think he was in prison less than a decade.
I mean, I'm just looking at the things, and I'm trying not to waste too much time on this. But I'm seeing.
Oh, you're fine. Dude.
I'm seeing like 2008. He was arrested in Bangkok, 2008. And
okay,
then
so maybe we had him a little bit longer.
And then he was expedited from Thailand to the U.S. November 16th, 2010. So about 12 years, almost 12 years.
So, having watched this movie, would you think the 12-year sentence is appropriate for, like, if this movie was heavily fictionalized and the stuff that the real Victor Boot actually did was maybe not as bad? Do you still think that 12 years would be a worthwhile prison sentence for him? Because he was sentenced to 25. He only served about half of his.
I have to do more research on this guy before I can make it. If I'm just basing it on everything that say everything that happened in the movie is accurate to what he did, it's hard for me to say. I mean, obviously, so much death occurred, and all he's doing it is just because, like, at one point, he's talking to his wife, who is played by Bridget Moynihan, who is one of my celebrity crushes. She's basically begging him to, stop doing this, live a normal life, go straight. And he is having a hard time doing it because he's good at it. It's not about the money or the fame or anything. It's just like he does it because he's good at it.
Yeah, he kind of has that Heisenberg revelation at the end of, not doing it for the money to take care of them, not doing it for the money to show off. This is what I'm good at.
Actually, when he first started doing this, for a long time, he was broke.
Yeah, and what little money he did have, he blew it all winning over his, future wife.
Yeah. It's just like...
It's
just like, I paid the bills with credit cards, and then I paid those credit cards off with credit cards, so it's just like, you're just going further and further into debt. And then I believe... he starts making money when the Soviet Union collapses.
Yep. The same day that his son takes his first steps, he's in there celebrating. And everyone's like, oh, he's really excited about the first steps. He's getting ready to come in here. And they walk around the corner and he's kissing Gorbachev's face on the big screen because the Berlin Wall's coming down. And he's like, yes, there's going to be so many guns that I can get access to as the Soviet Union is collapsing. And it's a gun runner's wet dream.
And he's immediately trying to manipulate his uncle. It's just like, how many tanks or like how many AK rifles do you have? It's like 40,000. That looks like 10,000 to me. It's like he's already trying to forge the numbers.
No, it's 40. No, it's 10. I can't believe that they were underarming your boys that much. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. We can't get away with that. Look. The people who care can't do anything. And the people who can do anything don't care. We'll just roll them out the back.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be fighting for power for some time. They're not going to know. And, also it's great because while all this is going on, all of a sudden Interpol is starting to come into play, And that's when Ethan Hawke's character comes in, who is this uncorruptible agent who's just like, I'm going to bring you down no matter what happens, as long as it's within the law.
seeing Ethan Hawke, he did a really good job doing that struggle of, I know this guy's guilty, but he refuses to break any laws in order to get the guy who is very clearly doing everything he can illegally, but doing everything just legal enough to get away with it. Like taking the missiles off the helicopter so that they're two separate shipments, even though this is clearly a war helicopter and these are clearly its missiles.
No,
they're going to different places. It's paperwork checks out.
It's for humanitarian purposes. And he's just like, this is bureaucratic loophole that's going to get canceled any day now. It's just like, well, until that happens, it's still legal. And even he's doing a delivery to the Sierra Leone, and his plane gets shot, or he orders his plane to land in the middle of nowhere, and Ethan Hawke's just like, I'm within my right to arrest you for 24 hours. Just because it gives those people another day to live. And one of the guys he's with is just like, we can kill him. No one would know. People go missing out here. It's just like, we would know. So it's just like, it's like, you are a guilty son of a bitch, but there's nothing I can do because you're still technically within the law.
And you gotta admire whenever they set that plane down, and he does the free gun giveaway, and all these people out there in the middle of nowhere just empty this plane out in like 20 minutes. Yeah. And then they cuff them and they leave them sitting there on the creek, because where else are they going to go? It's more satisfying to just leave them out in the middle of everything, handcuffed. He can't do nothing for 24 hours. And then all the locals come out and strip the entire plane down to its frame overnight.
Well, it's funny because Nicolas Cage says in monologue, he's probably hoping that the locals do away with me. That way, it's just like, well, you saved me the trouble. And I can only imagine when they see Nic Cage stand up the next day after the 24 hours, he's probably just like, that son of a bitch. How?
Where the movie covers such a big swath of time, this is like the only complaint I really have about the film. Like, genuine complaint about the whole one. I can nitpick the little opening all I want, but where it covers such a large swath of time, the movie almost feels like a 2-hour montage where there's so many when you go from scene to scene, most of the time you've got a big time jump.
Yeah.
This isn't telling a short event. This is kind of going through his entire criminal career from start to finish. And remember when we were watching Raising Arizona, the extended montage at the beginning of that kind of brings you up to speed with how the two of them get together and whatnot. Yeah. This movie, to me, felt almost like that. Not just a 2-hour montage of events from his life. So it makes certain things like, how did he go from selling an Uzi in a back room to successfully selling assault rifles by the kilo over in the Middle East?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of things that he does not explain, but again, I just take it as unreliable narrator. I definitely, my interpretation of it is, a lot of this stuff is happening, but not in the grandiose way that he's presenting it on screen.
So, it's a really good story. I do think this falls into the category of best movies that no one has seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad you brought it up, because I'd never watched this movie before. I copied Nic Cage's entire filmography over into a spreadsheet because I've been dedicated to the notion of Cage Fest for a long time, since before we officially decided that we were going to do an audio podcast. This has been in one of my, I want to make this a thing, and Jeff's going to have to come along for the ride.
Well, I'm glad I picked a movie that you had never seen, because this is actually one of those movies I watch once a year.
It is a really good one. And, like I said, it's the kind of movie that Hollywood doesn't make anymore, and I wish would come back. Because, the adult-aimed dramas, you get really good stories, and I know a bunch of them, they make them for Oscar bait, but that's where Matt Damon really shines. And they don't make his kind of movie anymore. Like movies like The Martian or Good Will Hunting, they don't really get made nowadays.
I think the problem is that a lot of those movies are getting made by Amazon or Netflix. You're not going to see a movie like this in theaters anymore.
No, you won't.
And
that kind of makes me sad, dude.
It does. Because you can clearly see they are trying to do something here. They're trying to make this is a, air quotes, a factual narrative, but obviously they're trying to throw a entertaining twist on it. Because obviously we got to keep the viewers entertained. And obviously when you want that to happen, you get someone like Nic Cage who is going to, it's funny. This entire movie, I'm trying to think, where are the moments where Nic Cage, does his stuff? And even though he's suppressing it, he's on the entire time.
Yeah, he brings it the entire time, but he never chews the scenery.
No, I'm trying to think the only time maybe he would chew the scenery, and that's I gotta think about this for a second, just because everything is just so maybe the only time is when he's talking to the pilot's like, you're the shit, Alexei, you're the shit, you're the shit, you're the shit.
Yeah, that's probably the cagiest moment he has in the entire movie, and it's still not that cagey a moment. Like when he does the brown, the coke that's cut with the gunpowder.
Yeah.
And has his whacked out scene.
His gunpowder.
Yeah, his gunpowder. Which they did some interesting shots in that sequence. Like the one scene where the guy's like got this gun pointed at him and it keeps jamming and he's trying to shoot Nic Cage, and Nic Cage is just very calm about, no, look, you got to do this, and trying to show the guy who's trying to shoot him in this moment.
I actually want to bring it.
How to get the gun to work right.
I actually want to bring that up because it's funny, because he tries shooting him and it jams like twice, and Nic Cage is like, here, let me see it. I know how to fix it. If you look at the guy holding the gun, he actually pulls a face. It's just like, really? You can fix it? But no! He's like, he's interested for a couple seconds. He pulls that face. All of a sudden, just get away. And then actually, I think he pulls his partner's gun. And again, that thing jams as well. And then he's actually surrounded by a couple hyenas. And they, look like they're about to attack him. And they're just like, eh. And that's when he says, like, I feel like I've been cursed.
But like during that entire sequence, they were doing day for night shots. You know what I'm talking about? Where they clearly shoot a daytime scene and then they put filters over it to make it look like it's night. So you get this weird kind of surreal lighting.
I think it's effective.
The first time that I ever noticed that, it didn't work. And it was in a different movie. Like the first time that I registered, they're shooting day for night, was in 28 Weeks Later.
Okay.
And it just makes it look shitty. But I think that it was a budget decision because they couldn't afford to light up a night scene, or they decided after they had shot it that it should be night instead of day or something like that. I don't know exactly what happened. But in that one, because of that kind of surreal effect that it gives, didn't work. In this, where you're kind of seeing things through his filter, and it does go to that unreliable narrator portion.
As also at this moment, he's supposed to be high.
Yeah, he is very, very much under the influence. And the reason he is because he had just shot Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah, Ian Holm is in this movie. Or should I say...
That was such a weird moment, seeing him in this movie. I'm like, fuck, it's Bilbo. And, Bilbo's an asshole.
Yeah, it's at the start of the movie when Nic Cage and his brother, who is, I think, the biggest low point of this movie, Jared Leto, who plays his brother Vitili, they go to... Go ahead.
And I will have some things to say about him, but, let's talk about Bilbo at the moment.
Yeah, well, they go to, like, this... what the hell do you call them? It's like one of those, like...
It's like a weapons expo.
Expo, thank you, that's the word. And he's just like, hey, I know who you are. Let's go into business together. And he's just like, we're not even in the same... Because you're just like some lowly gun dealer, and I am trying to... I sell to people that match my politics.
Yeah, he's a gun runner with some kind of moral code that he says, you know, he's trying to make a difference with what he's doing. So he's kind of done that to morally justify what he's doing, and he's profiting off of is that he's funding the side that he thinks should be in power or should be the winning side. And, Yuri calls him out on it. It's like, yeah, but in this war, you were selling guns to both sides. And he's like, do you think that I really wanted one of them to win? Maybe I wanted them both to lose. And just really highfalutin and kind of brushes them off.
I mean,
and then only for later in the movie to come like, maybe we can work together. And then Yuri has his moment of, you kind of told me to fuck off one time, so I'm going to tell you to fuck off this time. And it ends up biting him in the ass.
Well, also, this is... Hold on, I'm trying to think. Did he just... I'm trying to think, when did he kill his uncle with the car bomb?
So after the Soviet collapse, Yuri beats that guy to his uncle to start getting those guns.
Everything, guns, tanks, the helicopters, everything.
Yeah, all of it, the kitchen sink. And his uncle ends up turning down the other guy's offer, which ultimately gets to the point where he's offering double what Yuri's offering him. But because of family loyalty, he turns him down. Mm-hmm. And then he comes and makes, that one last offer, and, Yuri's uncle tells him essentially to go fuck off. And he's like, go ahead, here, I bought you this and this, go enjoy that new car. And he goes down, cranks the car, and the guy had rigged it with a car bomb, so the car blows up and kills Yuri's uncle. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward to when he's selling guns to these African warlords. Sorry, Lord of War. I like his way better.
I love that line. I don't use it often, but when I am able to, I'm like, thank you, but I prefer it my way.
The bath of blood. It's called a bloodbath. I prefer it my way.
Which is funny because he had just killed someone with a .357 Magnum. Hey, full circle.
But after they had been doing business for a while, he surprises him, surprises Yuri with, I've got the guy who killed your uncle in the car bomb. And here, it's my gift to you. Take this gun. Here, shoot him. Here, I'll help you do it. It's always hardest the first time. You can tell me to stop anytime. It'll end. Just tell me to stop. And Yuri doesn't say anything. And then together, they blow the guy's brains out, and after that he goes, stop. Which to me was struck more as gallows humor than as regret.
Mm-hmm. Did you mention why he grabbed him? Why the warlord grabbed Ian Holm? It's because he was selling to his enemies.
Oh yeah, there was also that. I'd forgot about that. But I knew that he left him alive because he knew about the history with Yuri. So he was giving him that opportunity. I think it was also a case of, let's dirty your hands a little bit.
I
get you down to my level.
I will say, now that I'm thinking about it, there was one other moment when we see Cage kind of like a freak out, and that's when he fires the gun. It's just like, what are you doing? I can't sell a used gun.
Yeah, I'd forgot about that cagey moment. But to be a drama, nowadays you see a drama and they have to stick these out of place moments of comedy in there to try and alleviate things. So you get the dramedies nowadays.
Yeah.
This movie does a really good job of having moments that are consistent with the tone that are genuinely funny.
Yes.
Like the I can't sell a used gun scene. Or after he makes the deal with the African warlord and he puts him up in, the 2-star hotel and has a present waiting for him in his room, and he gets up there and there's 2 hookers in there. And he's thinking 1 in 4 people in Africa have AIDS, or in this part of Africa have AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're doing their thing and seduce him. Like, do we look sick? What can we do for you? And they're starting to undress him. He's like, I'll tell you what you can do for me. And they're like, what? He's like, get out. And you can see the regret on his face as he pushes them out the door and shuts it.
No, I always like that, just because it's funny, because I don't know, I always found it humorous just because I'm not going to take the chance. And also, I find it funny because he has his own moral code. It's like I fuck a lot of women, but I fuck my wife like she's the.
Yeah, it's not the
I
same,
know
dude.
it's not the same. We've already established that Yuri is a terrible person.
And the weird thing is, as clearly terrible as he is, and how he's very clearly in the wrong, you find yourself every time he's crossing paths with Ethan Hawke's character, you're almost rooting that he's going to pull a fast one and keep getting away with it.
He's the Walter White. I mean, like the first encounter they have, Nicolas Cage is on a container ship in like north of Colombia, and one of his insiders tells him that Ethan Hawke is coming. So it's just like, okay, we need to change the ship, like the registry of the ship. Give me a name. That's too big of a name. Small. Kono, Kono. Okay. What nation? Dutch. Okay. So, and they managed to pull all that, I believe, in like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, very quickly paint over the old name, rechristen the boat as the Kono, and they're like, we don't have a Dutch flag. I got a French flag. He's like, what the fuck good is a French flag doing for me? If you turn it sideways, you got Dutch.
That's why you're my brother. And then as they're walking along, you see one of those lifesavers that says the ship's old name on it, and Jared Leto like runs back and flips it. So now it's just plain white.
And I will say, because I did promise that I'd come back around to Jared Leto, surprisingly tolerable in this movie.
Yes.
And I think he really shines, and he showed what he's very good at playing in this film, and that is a strung-out lunatic.
Oh, yes.
Because for most of this movie, he might start off competent in the early parts of the movie, but he is whacked out on coke for most of the film. And I think he kind of is supposed to be serving as Yuri's conscience to it.
He is, especially at the end.
And that's kind of the moment where it lets you know that the reason that he was doing what he was doing was like the knowledge of what they were aiding was eating him alive.
Yes.
And what front started as escapism turned into, a, unfortunately, lifelong drug habit, because
it doesn't hurt if I can't feel it.
And he dies before he gets clean.
Well, no, I think at the end he was supposed to be clean. I think he was clean for some time, but it's just, I think he just became an alcoholic. I think that was the only thing, just because, it's not going to get rid of the pain, it's just going to numb. And you can clearly tell he's trying to, like, Yuri, what you're doing. At the end of the movie, right before Jared Leto gets killed and shot, numerous times, they're looking over this like encampment. It's like the moment you sell these guns to this warlord, they're going to kill them all. And sure enough, Nic Cage does say, in the moment that the deal was done, all the people were killed. The women, children, they were all shot. But Jared Leto, at a last-ditch effort, grabs a grenade, throws it into one of the trucks holding the shipment of weapons. Not only does it blow up half the shipment, it kills the warlord, the Lord of War's son. What's his name? Andre Jr. Andre Jr.
Yeah.
And that's just like, okay, fine, you killed him just because it's just like this guy's a lunatic. He says he's a cannibal. So it's like, okay, good. He's dead. So then he grabs Jared Leto grabs another grenade, and like just right before he throws it, he gets shot up so many times, he pulls the pin, and Nicolas Cage grabs the grenade and the pin and shoves it back in.
And as he puts the pin back in the grenade, his brother breathes his last breath. So that was just kind of symbolically killing his brother.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not finishing what you started. And then he comes and he sits down, and then just the coldest moment in the movie is the guy that they're supposed to be doing the deal with. All of this is just taking place. He's seen half this shipment of guns blown up. They've shot this other guy down. And then his brother walks back over and sits down across the table from me and just pulls out machete, slaps it down in the middle of this payment of diamonds, and separates half the diamonds out because, well,
Half the shipment?
half the shipment, half the pay.
Yep. And actually, Jared Leto's death is what leads to Ethan Hawke finally getting enough evidence to have him arrested, because he had hired a African doctor to have all the bullets removed and produce a false death certificate saying he died of heart failure. Well, he never found the last bullet that was apparently hiding inside his ribs or under his ribs. So when they went through the airport scanner, you see a skeleton with this bright green bullet within. And this is where we get the excellent monologue at the end. Ethan Hawke's just saying, like, you're gonna be doing consecutive life sentences. Do you not appreciate the severity of the situation you're in? It's just like, my wife divorced me, my parents disowned me, my brother is dead. Yes, I do appreciate the situation I'm in. But in the next few minutes, a colonel who we see throughout the movie, in shadow, that he's been secretly doing business with, like one of his insider contacts, he's going to knock on the door. He's going to tell you you've done a remarkable job and you're going to earn some sort of commendation, and I am to be released. And sure enough,
you're going to get upset. You're probably going to threaten to resign. But in the end, you won't. And in the end, you'll let me go. And I'm never going to set foot in a courtroom. And sure enough, at least the way he tells the story in the movie, he walks.
I will say, when I first heard that colonel's voice, I'm like, hold on. That's Donald Sutherland. I'm sure of it. And I saw it in the credits. Apparently there are 3 different people that play the colonel. I'm assuming one was the voice, one was like, a distant shot, and one was like more of a right behind the shoulder shot. But it said Donald Sutherland as one of the actors who portrayed that colonel. I was like, yes, I was right. I know your voice.
Damn, I didn't even catch that. So I was amazed watching this movie at some of the names that they got, because they did not skimp out on their casting for this film.
No, I mean, obviously there are some people that I've never heard of before. Like I've never heard of Eamon Walker, who was Andre Baptiste Sr., the Lord of War. I've never heard of...
What wasn't he... Is he the dude that was in Oz? Because it seems like there was somebody that was in Oz, that show.
Yes, he was in Oz. Okay. I never watched Oz, so there you go.
I remember seeing a few, but...
I mean, he has that face. It's like, I've seen you before, but I'm looking at his filmography, and nothing is... I don't know him, so...
I think that was where I'd recognize.
But yeah, Sammy Rotibi, who was Andre Jr., I've never seen him before. Even though he seems like he have that persona, that face. It's like, wait a minute, I think I've seen you. But yeah, no, it's nothing. But like the big names, obviously Cage, Jared Leto, Ethan Hawke, Ian Holm, those are huge names. Even
yeah, it was really well done. Just casting, they didn't cut corners on the shots. It was a toned down Nic Cage instead of, him at his cagiest. This was a surprisingly well done movie.
No,
and considering how much I was worried that it was going to be preachy, like, it got its message across, which was the problem is the arms trade, and the punchline at the end of the movie was, guys like him aren't the problem. It's
the government.
The government that covers for them and the government that's aiding. And they're taking shots at the U.S., Russia, France, UK, and
China.
China.
Who are 5 permanent members. Or, I'm sorry, it's the permanent 5 of the United Nations Security Council. So...
Funny how that works out.
Yes,
huh?
It is. Yeah, they use men like Yuri just as a scapegoat. Just someone to point fingers at.
Yep. And then when it's not convenient for him to go away, they bail him out.
Yep.
Just like real life.
Right. But yeah, no, this is a complete 180 Nic Cage than we saw a couple weeks ago with Raising Arizona.
Totally different type of performance, but I would say these were both really chill Nic Cage performances.
I mean, this...
So like, on a scale from, let's say, what's the most chill Nic Cage performance you can think of off the top of your head?
I'm trying to think how crazy he is in, like, The Family Man or The Weatherman. Actually, to be honest, he's actually very chill in a Con Air.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So we'll say on a scale from Con Air to Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. It's a 12-point scale. Okay. Because 12 is louder than 11, and I think Nic Cage is probably a step beyond Spinal Tap. So it's 12-point scale. Where would you put this movie?
Con Air being 1. So obviously...
Yeah, Con Air being 1 and Ghost Rider being 12.
He is very chill throughout this entire movie, apart from a couple freak-out moments where we get a little bit of his normal his caginess. But otherwise, I would say this is like a 2, maybe a 3.
Yeah, I'd put it about a 2. What about Raising Arizona?
Oh,
so this is Nic Cage Month. What kind of regroup?
Raising Arizona, I would say that's like a 10, maybe 11.
Really, a 10? Man, I would put that more at like a 4.
You think so? He was very absurd in that movie. He was really... maybe.
Yeah, but the script was absurd. It's when he's being absurd for no reason and chewing the scenery. That's when I really think the caginess is going up. I think he was probably one of the more tame people in the entire movie.
Okay, I'll give you that. Maybe I'm just thinking different. So maybe... No, you're right. Because he definitely, throughout the entire movie, even though he's like acting crazy, he's still, for the most part, calm. So I would say like 4 or 5, like you were saying.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think this will be a fun scale to bring back because I think that we gotta have to keep coming back to Cage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a national treasure. Heyo.
But
that's actually I love National Treasure movies.
They were way better than they had any right to be.
I always love those treasure rooms. You look out, you're in this massive cavern or room or whatever, and you just like you see treasures or like something mysterious. Like the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark. They're in that bunker with all those crates. What's in those crates? And it just goes on and on.
The plots for other movies,
which we never see, apart from one, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Because...
You mean the best Indiana Jones film?
I don't know if you're pulling my leg right now. I mean, it's a good movie. It's the hate that it got is undeserved. I actually think The Last Crusade is the best.
I'm just saying there's only one Indiana Jones film that I went to the theaters and watched.
There is 0 Indiana Jones movies I saw in theaters.
A buddy of mine, and I don't know if he's ever going to end up listening to the show. We call him Mongo. Me and him went to high school together. He's about a year ahead of me.
Is he only pawn of life? Is he only a pawn of life?
No.
Please tell me.
You remember?
Do you get the reference?
I'm not catching. Have
you ever seen Blazing Saddles?
Oh yeah. I don't remember that reference in that movie.
Well, then I think you need to watch Blazing Saddles, sir, because Mongo is.
It's been a few years.
Because Mongo is only pawn of life.
I don't remember that line. But yeah, you look at the dude, he looks just like Mongo from that movie. And he could do a spot on like Mongo like candy.
Andy Dufresne.
He got into a nerd argument with one of the girls in the bakery whenever I was over the bakery in the deli. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the, I forget his exact title, but he was one of the managers over in grocery, and I was the one over the deli and stuff. And he got into a nerd argument with one of the bakery girls over Indiana Jones stuff because she had never watched any of them. He said, no, you need to, come on, you at least watch the good one. Dane, tell her the best Indiana Jones film and tell her she needs to go watch it. I'm like, oh yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is amazing. And like he goes into full blown nerd rage. Like, I was telling the story on TSMP last week about, going Virgin Discord mod on my computer because I died on Diablo. I didn't have shit on the fit that he threw. Just a 6'5" big dude, bear of a man. You can't tell me Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best one. I'm like, come on. They finally hit something good. Like the fridge scene. Why did no one ever think they'd hop in the fridge during the nuclear attacks on... It's like... Oh.
That's funny. No, I
had him so
it's a fine movie. It's not great. Last Crusade is my favorite.
Yeah, honestly, Last Crusade's probably my favorite. When I was a kid, I would have told you Temple of Doom because that was the one I saw the most often.
I like Temple of Doom. And to think that movie was made just because George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were in a bad place and getting divorced.
It's always the children that suffer.
Always the children.
But hot take, like, I wasn't that hot on Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's a good movie. I just don't think everyone says like, oh, it's like one of the best movies ever. It's like not really.
I mean, there's a few iconic scenes to it, but
yeah,
like I had more fun with Temple of Doom, and I think that like you said, honestly, Kingdom of the I'm getting my shit mixed
Last
up.
Crusade.
Last Crusade is probably the best in the franchise.
It's Sean fucking Connery.
But I mean Connery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Connery.
Also, Ghost Rider. I like it. Spawn. I like it. Did you ever see...
Yeah, John Leguizamo in the Spawn movie is just fucking priceless.
Everyone's like, oh, it's one of the worst movies ever. It's like, yes, but I like it.
Well, we've actually had some suggestions sent in to me for some really bad movies that we need to watch, and I know you and me have been talking about doing a bad movie month.
Do you want to tell me a couple of them, or do you want to just leave it as a surprise for now?
Well, do you remember the movie Cube?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
The sequels were suggested.
Yeah, Dalton suggested that one, right?
Yep.
I mean, everyone's probably like, "Oh, you need to see The Room." It's like everyone's seen The Room. Everyone said everything about The Room.
You're tearing me apart.
Oh, hi, Mark.
The Room is the classic so bad it's good film.
We don't need to do it because we're just gonna we just basically said everything that goes on in that.
All right. Here is the most interesting thing about the movie.
He fucked her belly button. Yes, I know.
No. It was a cut scene from the movie. During that scene on the rooftop where he's doing his random... I did not hit her. I did not. At the end of that scene, you were supposed to see in the background Tommy's car fly off into the sky. And like the other guys on set were like, Johnny, like, or Tommy, like, why do you want your character's car to fly off into the sky like that? And his explanation was, I don't know, perhaps Johnny is a vampire. And then walks away. Like, flying cars are a vampire thing?
I'm shocked you didn't know this.
But I found that out on, as a YouTube channel, Fact Fiend. And that was kind of their contribution to the internet. Perhaps X is vampire in the Tommy Wiseau accent.
Well, there you have it. Today I learned something new. Vampires have flying cars.
Apparently, vampires have flying cars.
I'm shocked
that
Bram Stoker's Dracula didn't use this.
Maybe it's in Dracula 2000.
Did you ever see Dracula Dead and Loving It? The Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah, and I also saw, because it seems like I'm at least combining that frame of time in my mind, the Eddie Murphy Dracula movie. I want to say the movie was called Blackula, but I could be mistaken.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because the dad from the Friday movies was like the ghoul in it, I think, at some point. I think one of the Wayans brothers, let's see, the original Blackula was that. Because Blackula, that was a 72 exploitation film. Let's see, what was Eddie Murphy's? Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
Yeah, 1995. Because I know one of the Wayans brothers was in it,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the ghoul for Eddie Murphy's Dracula. And then at the end of the movie, when they kill Dracula, he becomes the new vampire, and he makes the dad from the Friday movies into his ghoul.
I will say I'm looking at a screenshot from Vampire in Brooklyn. Eddie Murphy. He's got a nice head of long hair.
Yeah, no way it's
Oh,
real.
I guarantee. I know for a fact it's like extensions or a wig, but it's just like, huh. So, go back to
But yeah, Lord of
Lord of
War.
War. If you were to rate this movie on a scale
What kind
of
of rating?
1 to 47 bullets,
1 to 47 bullets.
I know there's like millions of bullets in this movie, but I am not going to be like, Dane, on a scale of 1 to 46,399,000, just 47, AK-47, that's a highly prevalent weapon in this movie. 1 to 47.
This is, like I said, this is definitely one of those best movies you never seen. So, like if anyone asks me, this movie is definitely a hard recommend. You got to go check it out. And if you've got Prime, there's no extra cost. It's just on Prime. Obviously, it's not go watch it on free because you have to have the Prime subscription, but most people at this point in time have Amazon Prime. And it's 2 hours that are well spent. It's Nic Cage at the top of his game doing a serious acting job, and he definitely brings that charm. He makes you root for the bad guy. So I guess for capping it at 47, like as far as the should you go watch this, I mean it's an easy 47. Go watch the movie. I don't know that this is going to be in my watch it once a year list, but I'm definitely going to revisit this movie on a semi-regular basis because it is a really good story. It's that classic kind of, low-level mobster breaks big and the going to end up destroying his life character arc that you see coming a mile away. It's well done, and yeah, I had fun with it, dude.
That makes me happy. That's 2 movies you haven't seen that you either love or you really like. Is it 2 movies, or is there another movie?
Let's see. I'd never seen Speed Racer, and you got me to watch that. I'd never seen Tremors. You got me to watch that.
Tremors. I forgot about Okay. Since this is this is a question I should save for next episode. Yeah, I'll save it for next episode.
All right, that's fair. So, like we said, we are skipping the quiz this week. Did you have a rating you wanted to give it? I know it was your pick, so obviously you like this movie.
I do. Same as you.
Final thoughts?
This is a strong recommend. I mean, that's something we said before, and it's these kinds of movies that you don't see in theaters anymore. You'll see it being made on Amazon or Netflix or something, but you're not going to see a movie like this in theaters anymore.
And definitely not with this kind of budget.
No. So, recommendation, high recommendation. In terms of, am I doing the same scale, 1 to 47?
Sure, why not?
I am going to put this, I'm trying to think, because, everyone is bringing their A game. This, like you said, the story is very compelling. All the shots are, this movie is very well made in terms of camera work. Music, actually, I do remember a few of the songs. It's like, okay.
Yeah, the soundtrack was probably the weak point because, it's all the songs that you would expect that you've heard 1,000 times in other movies too. There was nothing like really stand out as like, I can't believe they thought to put that in the soundtrack.
The only song, even though I recognize every song, I can't remember them now, except for what it's worth, which is the one used over the intro.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give this a solid 42. 42 out of 47. What could they do to make it better? I don't know. I have to watch it and take notes. But the thing is, I don't like taking notes. I just like getting sucked into a movie. And this movie is just like, okay, I'm going to relax, and I'm just going to immerse myself in it.
I think if they tried to make this movie today, they would probably spend a lot of time trying to humanize or endear you to Yuri's character, or find some reason to make you root for him, instead of just letting him be the sleazeball that he is. And I don't think that there's many actors out there who could play him as the sleazeball and still have the charm to make you stay on his side like Nic Cage does.
I also think they would throw in a message. It's like, okay, this is that kind of movie, but at the same time, this is not that kind of. But I feel if this were made nowadays, it's just like, there is a message, and we are going to lean hard into it, and it's never going to stop. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, they would overdo it, which you have the moments where you can see, yeah, they're making their point, but they're at least keeping it appropriate within the context of the film. They're not being overly ham-fisted with it, but they are like, see, kid soldiers, see.
It's just,
he's arming them.
It's stating facts. That's basically what this movie does the entire time. It's just stating facts. And they're throwing in some context behind it.
Yeah, it's not spending its whole time intentionally yanking on your heartstrings and going overboard with it.
Yeah, like the whole scene with where he's having his high after doing the brown. It's like only a minute and a half. It's very short. Actually, that's the thing. That scene will probably be like 15 minutes long.
Yeah,
they would try to humanize him. It's just like, that's not that character. It's not that kind of character.
And it probably would not be 2 hours. They would probably stretch out into this long, like bloated 3-hour mess.
Yes.
But just letting Yuri be the asshole that he is, and casting someone who could sell that and still keep you invested in the character like Nic Cage did. Good call on the filmmaker's part. But yeah, it's really good. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, because even knowing, I mean, you know from the get-go, this is not going to end well for him, that it's going to be that type of movie. And I think even if I'd had the full plot spoiled, I would still have enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, that's Lord of War.
This was a fun Cage fest.
Yep. Definitely got to do it again next year.
Here's to our first one, and many more, sir.
Salute. So that leaves our ending stuff. So we're foregoing the quiz. We will make up for it next time around, we promise. Because next time, first episode of the new year, but last episode for, I guess, if you called this our first season, we're doing the 2024 Drunk in Review. So we're going to get together. We're going to talk about some of the things we did on the show. Mostly we're going to drink copious amounts of alcohol and bullshit with our friends. It's going to be a fun episode. I know Dalton's coming in. I think Willie might be showing up. We could have some other people we don't know yet.
Please let us know.
So just for giggles, if you had some favorite thing that happened on the show, you know what? Holler in, let us know. We'll read any highlights that we get from anybody that's listening. And we're going to have a really fun game at the end of the next one.
And write in questions. You know,
tons of
questions like, what were you planning for next year?
The more inappropriate, the better.
Within reason.
No reason.
I think
reason. Let it all go.
I think for this episode, it's gonna be hard because, oh boy, I'm drunk, and I'm hoping we are going to schedule this on a weekend, so that means I can partake in this, because, as I stated in the past, I don't drink in the weekdays.
My plan, how we normally record Mondays. I'm saying let's do it the Saturday night before we normally record, which I think would be the 27th or 28th.
Something like that.
I think we would normally record on the 30th, so I think it would be the 28th. So that's what I'm leaning towards.
Yes, that would be the 28th.
I'm sobering up. I can tell time again.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely show up in next time for the Drunken Review. So Jeff, you got any parting words for the good folks who have stuck with us through all this?
Remember, gun safety. That's it. Gun safety.
It's always loaded. Just like me when I record, I'm always loaded. Except that one time I was sober. We don't talk about that.
Hey, we'll make it up. Next episode, I won't come sober.
The drunken
I
review.
won't come sober. I'll be sure to grab plenty of tonic so I can make myself some vodka drinks.
Hey, this is future Dane. Jeff doesn't know he's the only one showing up drinking. Don't tell him. He doesn't listen to this show.
It's true, I don't.
Oh. Let's tell him good night, Jeff.
Good night, viewers.
Our theme song is Moonpath by Nile The Nightmare. You can find a link to that track as well as his full discography in the show notes or by visiting nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. Want to hang out with us and a bunch of other entertaining degenerates? Join us on Discord at bit.ly/TSMPDiscord, all caps. Enjoy the show, rate us where you're at, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
Oh boy, boobs are cool.